I can't stand secrets. Even as a kid at Christmas, I would take my toys and I'd shake them and I'd shake them and I'd listen to them and then I'd bang them on the floor. I just had to know what was inside.
What'd you find out?
I found out Santa brought me a lot of broken toys.
Iain, you rat's Patusi, would you trust a military figure who sealed you up in a room and told you there was nothing to worry about?
No.
Why not?
He's a military figure.
All untrustworthy.
Absolutely.
Every
Just want
last
to blow
one of
things
them.
up.
That's all they want to do, isn't it?
Warmongers.
Okay, let's move on from that. Although I agree. How are you?
Feel a bit lethargic, really.
Bit down.
There seems to be a penguin at the other side of the room. And why are you wearing that hat?
Even this is actually a hat I'm wearing.
Oh.
It's not a hat. You're not hallucinating.
That's okay, that's a relief.
Yeah, no, I am just a dandy.
That's fine. It's a weird choice for indoors. Does a Rastafarian hat count as dandy? I don't know.
That's the way I wear it.
Okay.
Not on my head. They call me Mr. Trunk.
No, they don't. They don't call you that.
Okay, sorry. I thought that was quite good.
Yeah. How are you, Gerry?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm stage 4.
That's fine.
That's death.
Death.
It's all a dream.
Yeah, it is getting a bit warm in here though.
It's very warm actually. What is the score? Why is your what's the difference?
The heating's on.
Why? It's not that cold. It's not any colder than it's been any other. In fact, it's warmer than it's been most weeks. The temperature isn't going down.
I didn't put the heating on.
Can you turn it off? Do you need it on? Is it for drying clothes here?
We are drying clothes here, but we could probably put it off. But I don't think it's actually on right now. It's just been on.
I'll check. That's boiling.
Okay, I'll go and turn the heating down. Hang on.
Okay, let's pause.
Better?
Not yet. I'm sitting drinking hot tea. I've noticed you've went onto the chilled water.
I'm on chilled water and I'm wearing my swimming trunks.
Yeah, I've got a shirt and a pullover on.
Yeah, well, that's bad choices.
Well, let's make this snappy then before I...
10-minute podcast.
Yeah. I feel like I'm trapped in a room with some sort of biological warfare going on. With that in mind, do you want to start this week's episode?
Why not?
Can we have your summary?
Sure, why not?
Crack on.
In They Call Me Mr. Trunk, a deadly neurotoxin is released during a botched robbery and spreads to the police precinct when Hammer apprehends the culprit. With only hours to live and the whole building hallucinating, can Trunk keep it together long enough to discover a cure? Or is this the end for Sledge, Dory and all of their colleagues?
I'm sure it's not.
Hopefully not.
I know it's not. I've watched other episodes.
I've not. This is the last one that I've watched.
This might be the last episode.
Okay.
We begin this week in a germ warfare lab somewhere.
The Germ Warfare Centre.
A military colonel informs his staff of a break-in and an attempted theft of a highly secret and toxic substance.
Formula BX976.
Yep, I didn't write that at all. I will never refer to it as that.
Is that a reference to something?
Don't think so.
Okay.
Maybe it is.
Someone will tell us.
If anyone knows, let us know. He shows his staff a slide of a Richard Syrod. Now, this is like last week. It's written as in IMDb as Syrod, but the characters pronounce it differently in the show.
Yeah, I've just written Syrod as well.
Yeah. Anyway, this Richard Syrod was the person who attempted the robbery. He was unsuccessful, but is now contaminated and is highly contagious.
Yes, they point out that the stuff is not only deadly, it's darned economical.
He then goes on to describe the 4 stages of infection.
Hallucinations, disorientation, lethargy leading to coma, death.
Not great. Well, the hallucination and disorientation, and in fact the lethargy is not too bad.
Did you find that the writers were taking a shocking amount of liberty accusing the American military of developing weapons for biological warfare?
No.
Did you not think this was outrageous?
No.
A slur on the good men and women of the US military?
No.
They're tasked with finding this man, and the mission is top secret. The public can't know.
Over to Trunk's office. Sledge is trying to catch a fly with his gun.
He only wings it though.
Flies are filth, apparently.
Trunk wants the gun so he can kill Hammer.
And we see him take numerous medications.
He appears to be chugging the Pepto-Bismol
Yeah,
again.
and he's other things on a tray as well. He's got all sorts of pills and bottles.
There's an entire laboratory in the corner there.
Yeah. So, germ warfare lab he's got going himself.
It looks like it.
He then briefs Sledge and Dory on a request from the military.
What I wanted to say is that the military is asking for our assistance.
The military? No problem. My tank is gassed up and ready to roll.
Hammer, the military doesn't need your tank. It needs your eyes.
They're ready to roll too, see?
They need our help in locating this man, Richard Syrett.
Cyrus. What does he look like?
He looks like this.
Oh, right, because you got the... I don't know where my head's at.
All right, now my orders are very specific. If you spot this man, don't approach him. Don't even apprehend him. Don't even touch him.
Why, has he got a major case of the cooties?
Hammer, if I wasn't trying to control my high blood pressure, I would scream at you.
Well, you screamed at me already.
Shut up! Shut your mouth!
Twice. They're adding up.
Shut up! You!
Hammer openly taunting Trunk again.
Yeah. Did you notice? I think they must have left it in when Sledge rolls his eyes.
Yeah.
Trunk bursts out laughing.
He doesn't normally... I don't think that was scripted.
No.
They obviously thought it worked.
Yeah, I did.
Did you notice the special number they have to call if they spot Syrett?
1-800 the military.
It's one number too many.
Over to the bar. Sledge and Dory are having their...
Milk?
They do like a milk at the bar, and Sledge is frustrated about not knowing the story behind Cyrod.
Yes. While they're talking about this, we heard the clip at the top of the show about the Christmas presents.
Mm-hmm. He hates secrets.
He does.
Who butts in?
Barman.
Why?
There's a man at the end of the bar and he wants him moved along.
Yeah, they're about to close and he needs this punter shifted.
Yes, it turns out to be Syrett.
Dory recognises him. That is very fortuitous, isn't it?
It is. Well, they have just looked at his photo.
So does that every time I
Oh,
look...
you mean it's fortuitous that she recognises him or that he's there?
Yeah, he's there. Not that he recognises him. They have just looked at his photo. Hold on a second. I've got to go and get a photo of Natalie Portman and a couple of other Hollywood beauties, and then hopefully they'll turn up in the pub.
I wasn't meaning that. I meant that I thought you were talking about her recognising him, which now that I think about it, doesn't make any sense.
No.
Well, then you don't usually.
True.
Sledge wants to touch him, but Dory wants to call it in.
Rather than listen to Dory, he asks her to trust him, and the man handles him back to the precinct and dumps him in Trunk's office.
Yes, and he explains that he didn't call the number, he didn't have any quarters.
Yeah.
And I think Trunk calls him a tortoise brain at this stage.
Yeah, he says it was a free phone number.
Yeah, toll free, tortoise brain. Tortoise brain, maybe? Whatever.
He is then told to put him in the holding tank whilst Trunk calls the military.
Yes.
And that's where we head,
Yes.
down to the cells.
We do.
Dory notices that Cyrod is very sick. What does Sledge say?
Well, I'm not sure exactly what he says, but he brings through a doctor from the next cell.
Well, he says, of course he is. He's probably a commie. They're all sick.
Yes.
And yes, he does bring through a doctor and a nurse.
Yes, but they turn out to be a fake doctor and nurse, and that's why they're in prison.
You say turn out to be. Did you not, just by looking at them, especially the nurse, work out that they were not real? And the fact that they're in a prison cell.
But he had a stethoscope.
That's true. So does someone we know.
That's true. I bought a stethoscope not that long ago.
Not a real one.
Yeah, a real one.
Yeah, but not for yourself.
No, not for myself. For
Yeah. A
my
dog.
girlfriend who's a vet nurse, yes. The doctor diagnoses the man as being dead, and then admits he's not a doctor.
No.
But still better at diagnosis than Dory.
Yes. Well, Sledge asks him what they're in for. And he says impersonating a doctor and a nurse.
Is that a crime? I suppose
Yeah.
if you do it in a hospital it is.
Yeah, of course that's yeah.
If you do it at a Halloween party, not so much.
Over to Trunk's office, and Dory gives Trunk the news, who can't believe, firstly, that it was not Sledge's fault that the guy's dead.
He's right on the edge here, Trunk. And then a man arrives in a hazmat suit.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a bit, as you say, he has a bit of a breakdown. And we see the Colonel entering this full...
I think his name is it Mike Poltz? Something along those lines.
Something like that, yeah. I just refer to him as the Colonel.
Okay. Once they're all in hazmat suits, I don't distinguish between them very much.
No. They are, or him and his team, the Colonel that is, are installing cameras for observation around the precinct.
Yeah, there's lots of folk in these suits, and the Colonel tells Trunk, just go about business as usual. He asks for a tour.
Yeah, but the place is in full lockdown.
That's right. There's folks in reception. We get to see a motley bunch of so-and-sos, one of whom appears to be a lawyer, Harvard class of 82.
Trunk demands an explanation, and the Colonel describes the stages that we heard before. And at this, we see Mayjoy having one of these hallucinations.
And then we see Daly having one.
Yeah, what's Mayjoy's?
Can't remember.
Some dream girl, that's what her credit is.
Is it?
She's saying, oh, Mayjoy, I want you, I've always wanted you, come to me, all that sort of
What
stuff.
about Mrs. Mayjoy?
Is there such a thing?
He's mentioned her before.
Yes, because it's okay for them to go on separate holidays.
Yes. So they're also not getting on, so we'll maybe let them off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we see, what's Daly's?
She's a ballerina.
Uh-huh. And then we've got a fairly pleasant Dory hallucination.
It occurred to me at this point that we hadn't seen Hammer since he took the fellow down to the cells.
Mhm.
I was wondering, is he left? Is he going to be out in the city? But he does show up a bit later on.
He does. Everyone is acting odd, with the exception of Trunk.
Yes. Dory is making monkey noises, climbing on a desk, then goes between being a monkey and being Jane of the jungle.
It was fairly seductive
Was it?
when she was lying in the floor.
Okay. She sees a tiger and falls off the desk. We then see folk in reception writing on the walls and the doors and lipstick, and Trunk just wanders around not having a clue what is going on.
In a panic, Trunk calls the Colonel, who is outside in a monitoring van.
Yeah.
Now, the Colonel insists there's nothing to worry about.
He says it's some kind of odd coincidence and it'll all be over in 8 to 10 hours.
Trunk then threatens the Colonel and says he's going to bust out if he doesn't find out what's going on, but he is advised that his men have orders to shoot to kill.
And yes, he then tells his team that he thinks they'll all be dead by 1800.
Yeah.
Did you see what Hammer was doing just ahead of the call?
Describe it.
His best friend was talking to him, finally.
Yes. Now, he's been for years been talking to it.
Yes.
This is the first time I've seen it respond.
It calls him Amigo, I believe.
Yeah. Quite creepy, isn't it? The way the end of the gun had little lips and was chatting away. And Hammer... Now, I don't know a huge amount about gun safety.
Yeah.
But you don't point the gun at your face or other people.
Yes, and he tries to get to talk to Trunk, and he's not wanting it pointed in his face at all.
No. Yeah, I quite liked that, actually.
After the call, we get a kind of a time-passing cut, and we come back to everyone in some degree of distress.
Yes, and Trunk receives some information from the TV.
Oh, Captain. Oh, Captain, I feel just terrible. I just feel like my whole body was hit with shrapnel. Would you, give me a massage?
And now, this special bulletin.
What's this?
According to our sources, everybody inside the building has been contaminated by a deadly experimental nerve gas developed by the military for use in germ warfare. Unfortunately, there is no known antidote, which means that everybody inside will be dead within a matter of hours. But there is one bright note. Thank God it's them and not us. Now back to Crazy Teddy, the weatherman, as he continues his 5-part special on clouds.
It's just that Lisa Ellerblub. What does that dumb chick know?
She knows we're contaminated and we're gonna die.
Oh, yeah? Well, nobody's gonna tell me when I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die when I'm good and gosh darn ready. And boy, am I ever feeling ready.
All right, come on. Come on, people! Let's not give up here.
With the exception of Trunk, everyone seems to have moved to stage 3.
Yes.
They're no longer hallucinating, but they are very lethargic.
Trunk tries to rally them.
And Dory notices that Trunk's not affected.
Sledge suggests that perhaps the virus or disease doesn't affect captains. Not sure he understands how viruses work.
No.
Trunk then tells the doctor to get down to the lab and perform some tests on him to try and work out what is...
Why is the doctor even there? I mean, why is he not in the cell?
Because he's a doctor.
I think he even says to Trunk, I'm not a real doctor.
If you've got As long as you've got a stethoscope, you're a
That's
doctor. In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man, and all that sort of malarkey.
Meanwhile, in reception, Mayjoy is coming on to Daly even though he's almost dead.
Yes, and she spurns his advances, says that she's got a headache.
Yes.
Then we have a nice scene with two hookers. One hopes that there are no men in heaven now. How does the other one respond?
Oh, she says there's not. They're all in hell.
And the first responds by saying the problem is she doesn't think that they are going to heaven.
Yeah.
Dory and Sledge then have what they, I suppose, consider to be a final few moments together.
Sledge, do you believe in the afterlife?
I don't even believe in life.
Well, I just want you to know that even though we're all gonna die because of your stupidity, I forgive you.
Oh.
You've been a great partner and a good friend. And I love you. Like a brother.
Come on, Dero, this is no time to be sentimental.
This is a perfect time. We're dying.
You're right. In that case, I just want to tell you that you are the best partner I ever had. And I'm really gonna miss you. Almost as much as I'm gonna miss me.
Ditto.
Ditto, ditto, Dero.
That's really sweet, Hammer.
No.
That was a fairly touching moment.
It was, just like last week. We see the relationship develop and Sledge been genuine.
Yeah.
No.
I think this is, in terms of the characters, the last episode, certainly this episode, I'm not sure so much with the last one, but certainly this one's back on track a little bit from what we were seeing in terms of development of the relationship, rather than kind of a freeze frame.
What's interesting, we can chat about it, or I'll mention in the trivia towards the end, but there's a consistency here with some of the writers behind it, and that may have be playing a part in this.
Sure. Down in the lab.
Yes. Do police stations generally have a lab?
Well, I don't know, they might have a auxiliaries room like we had at primary school. Certainly there's some medical instruments there, and the doctor has determined that the only thing exceptional about Trunk is his high blood pressure.
Yes.
Trunk's not persuaded that this could possibly be saving him from the illness, but decides to at least try and raise everybody else's blood pressure to see what happens.
Yeah, they've all to get mad to cure themselves. So back up to the outer office.
Yeah.
And Trunk returns to rough them all up.
Yeah, a few sort of half-hearted attempts don't get him anywhere, but when he gets hold of Hammer, he knows how to press his buttons.
What does he say?
Calls him a woman.
Oh, no, we don't want to say that to Hammer.
And it cures him immediately.
Well, like, a woman, it gets worse. A little girl, and he slaps him.
And yeah, Hammer responds angrily, which ends his death spiral.
Yes, well, it stops the lethargy.
Exactly. He then moves on to Dory.
Yep, and what buttons does he push with her?
He says he's glad she's dying because she's the stupidest cop he ever met.
A bimbo.
Yes, she does not like that. That makes her mad.
It does.
And cures her.
Yeah, his thesis, or the doctor's thesis, has been proven, and Sledge is only too happy to oblige in making everyone else angry.
Yes.
The place erupts in violence.
And that cures everybody.
Yeah, those three look on with smiles.
And meanwhile, Daly chokes out Mayjoy.
I bet she's been dying too for... You can only imagine the amount of harassment that
Yes.
you don't see, off camera with Mayjoy. He's a creep, isn't he?
Yeah. Which is why I found it weird that he got so upset with Sledge in that other episode earlier on.
Yeah.
But anyway, I suspect she was already cured and she's just choking him for fun.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think she's now... At the time, she knew it was like being in a coma. This creep is trying it on with me as I am dying, but I can't be bothered.
Yes, and now she's going to take it out on
Yes. Now it's like, you're trying it on with me when I was dying, come here, you.
him.
What does Sledge comment?
Yeah. He says it's my kind of disease. Now, I have a question for you about the pathology of this disease.
Okay.
How come everyone in the police station was affected and nobody in the pub?
Well, we don't know. We don't know about the pub.
Well, we don't see it. We assume that it's only these folk that are being... Because Hammer's been told not to touch him, so you assume that if you don't touch him, you're fine.
Mm-hmm.
So we're saying that everyone in the police station has in some way touched someone who's previously touched someone who's touched Cyrod?
Yeah, that's what we're
They've
assuming.
all physically touched one another,
Yeah, they're all working close together. Mayjoy's been creeping on a lot of people.
but the barman's fine.
No, he's dead.
Fair enough.
Trunk's office for the epilogue, and Trunk is congratulated by the Colonel, who wants him to go to Washington and meet the President to receive the Congressional Medal of Honor.
Trunk is not having it.
This was impressive.
He does a full hammer, pulls out his gun, and tells the Colonel to get out. And Hammer appreciates this.
He does. Sledge loves him.
He does. He says, "I hate to tell you, sir, but I love you when you're mad."
How did Trunk respond to that?
He probably just scoffed and didn't write that down, but
Yeah.
I don't imagine he would take the adulation too seriously.
But I think Trunk was on a high at that point.
Yes. And also angry.
There we have it.
That was quite good.
I did enjoy it.
I mean, it was a little bit similar to the time that Sledge got poisoned to the Miss of the Spider-Woman,
Yes.
but it was good to have a Trunk-centred episode. We've not really had that before.
No.
He was certainly the primary character.
Yeah. We all love a bit of Trunk, don't we?
You could say that.
The ladies do.
Shut up.
I don't know why I've got this joke in my head.
It's not a funny joke either.
I quite enjoy it.
You're offending people every time you use it.
I'm
because
not.
It's such a bad joke.
I'm not. It's a good joke. If you're offended by it, let us know.
No, don't. Just
Unsubscribe.
imagine it didn't happen. We all feel for you.
Do you? You feel my trunk?
Stop.
Stop feeling for me.
You're going to cut this, aren't you?
No, I'm going to keep it in.
Because you're the one that looks silly.
It's Comedy Genius.
Okay.
Anyway, will we move on?
Did you have a favourite line? We do that first.
Yes, it was the commie line, actually. So he's very sick, of course he is. He's probably a commie.
Mine was the Colonel saying to Trunk, "It's just some kind of odd coincidence. It'll be over in 8 to 10 hours."
Yeah, that was nice.
I enjoyed that.
This episode was first broadcast on the 17th of December 1987, directed by Seymour Robbie. He died in 2004, aged 84. He directed about 21 episodes of Murder, She Wrote, Remington Steele, Trapper John MD, Barnaby Jones, The Streets of San Francisco, The FBI, Cannon, F-Troop, and The Man from U.N.C.L.E., amongst many, many other things.
It's a pretty robust CV.
Very. The writing team were again Curtis and Ash.
Know what they're doing by this point, you'd hope.
William Smithers played Colonel Poltz. Born in 1927, he has been in The Guiding Light, Papillion, Dallas for 50 episodes, Executive Suite, Star Trek, the original, Mission Impossible, and Peyton Place. He is or was a member of the Actors Studio.
Okay.
Norman Fell played the Doctor. He died in 1998, aged 74. He was in The Graduate, Bullet, Chud 2, Bird the Chud, Three's Company, The Ropers, Dan August, Needles and Pins, Dr. Kildare, appropriately enough, and 87th Precinct. Now, does that ring a bell?
No, is it a fire brigade thing?
Nope. 87th Precinct was based on a number of novels by Ed McBain. Does that ring a bell?
Yes.
Why?
Because he was the one whose books were adapted for 2 Columbo episodes, Undercover and... is it No Time?
Well remembered. Yes, correct.
Was
But
one
you
of
don't
them,
have to raise your hand, Ian. Just speak.
was one of them not the one with Trunk in it?
Yes, you are indeed correct.
There you go.
Interesting.
Interesting connection that's kind of tied up in a connection. Anyway.
Mm-hmm. This is quite amusing. He had a 40-year feud with the Quincy star Jack Klugman.
Why?
Well, in fact, he didn't. It was a 40-year hoax and they were very good friends.
Really? I quite like that.
Uh-huh. The title is obviously a play on They Call Me Mr. Tibbs from 1971.
I thought it was They Call Me Mr. Pig from The Lion King.
Next week we have Model Dearest.
Okay, that sounds interesting.
Mm-hmm. Bit of begging. Make it quick. Make it snappy.
Every week you say begging. I mean, it makes people think, oh, we're not getting involved with this. They don't like beggars.
Okay, would you like to
Plead.
yeah.
Anyway, social media, Twitter, Facebook, we're at Sledgecast. We're coming up to the end of the run, so if you've got any questions or anything you want us to talk about or answer that we haven't gone over on the show, let us know because we want to include it in our wrap episode. And if you want to talk about any of the episodes as they go by, there'll be a post about each one on sledgehammerpodcast.com. If you want to help more folk find out about the show, the best thing you can do is rate, review and subscribe to it on iTunes, even if that's not where you listen to it, because that helps more people discover it as it bumps up the rankings there, as it were. And we look forward to hearing from you all.
We do.
And until you get in touch, cheerio.
Bye bye.